Spending quality, peaceful time with your family over the holidays is officially over. Thank God. And if you got Arc Raiders as a gift for Christmas or insert winter holiday here, I'm here to help you get started with an updated beginner's guide for 2026. Today's vid will have all of the following chapters, so feel free to jump ahead to whichever section you want to learn about the most. Starting with Arc Raiders in a nutshell. Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter with elements of PvE and PvP. Or, if I might be so bold, Arc Raiders is Escape from Tarkov if it were actually fun. On the PvE side, you try real hard to make sure you don't get killed by Arc, aka dangerous robots programmed with only one thing on their to-do list: murder your face. And on the PvP side of the game, that all depends on how you act when you bump into other real human players. When that happens, you can choose to be nice and friendly with other players, or you can let the intrusive thoughts win and give them a lead enema, and then listen to them rage on the microphone, of course.
Play, bitch.
And if you're thinking, well, killing other people sounds like the way easier and more profitable option, I mean, yeah, that is kind of true. But believe it or not, there are really good reasons to not become a full-on murder hobo in every game you load into. More on that later. Anyway, during your expedition's topside, your main goal is usually finding and collecting loot and then safely extracting with that loot. Loot comes in many forms: weapons you can use, valuable trinkets that you can sell, items you can use to craft things, and so on. But yeah, loot is the name of the game. In Arc Raiders, you have the option to load into a match with either a custom loadout, aka bring in whatever the hell you want out of your own stash, or you can load in with a free loadout. Free loadouts, as you can imagine, cost you literally nothing to load in with, and the game just gives you one random low-tier weapon and a few random okay items, including healing items. And even though that sounds bootleg, free loadouts are efficient and fun when you're feeling broke, or if you don't want to risk bringing valuable stuff from your stash. The downside of a free loadout, though, is that you don't have access to a safe pocket, aka a slot in your inventory where you can keep one piece of loot no matter what happens, even if you die. Safe pockets are only available on custom loadouts, which just goes to show you that more customization is always better, especially when it comes to using a gaming mouse. And shout out to Rapu, sponsor of today's video. Lend me your ears, my brethren, for I have been sent a top-tier gift: a VT3 Max wireless ultralight gaming mouse. And when I say light, I am not kidding. This thing only weighs 59 grams, meaning if you're the kind of gamer who likes a super lightweight mouse, this is basically your nirvana right here. The VT3 Max also features additional buttons on the side, which IMO is a must for gaming in 2026. And again, as I mentioned, it is wireless. And if you're still on Team Wired, I mean, I get it to a degree, but I don't really worry too much about input lag these days with the current generation of gaming mice. It's not really a thing, and the VT3 Max is no exception. True 8K wireless polling rate, and apparently it has up to 750 hours of battery life, which is kind of a lot. But yeah, the short version is you don't really need to worry about constantly needing to recharge your mouse, I guess. You know, for that upcoming 750 gaming hour session I'm sure you have planned. Paired with its 8000 Hz polling rate and PAW3950 sensor, the tracking on this mouse is extremely accurate. I gave it a go in a few matches and genuinely was impressed by how smooth the performance was. You can also take full control and customize its performance down to the smallest detail thanks to their A-Hub driver. Overall, this offers you a level of customization you won't find elsewhere, and it'll allow you to get as competitive as you want with this gaming mouse. Don't wait. Get yours today by hitting my link in the pinned comment, and be sure to use promo code Fallout20 to get 20% off your order site-wide. Again, that's 20% off site-wide with promo code Fallout20. Thank you, Rapu. All right, we back. Why don't we talk about should you be friendly or not? Meaning, when you find another player out in the wild, which by the way will happen a lot, should you be cool and hang out with them? Should you leave them be? Or should you maybe commit murder? Admittedly, while murdering people can get you a lot of loot very quickly, we have recently learned that how you behave in-game actually affects your in-game matchmaking. Meaning, if you're a peaceful player and not constantly putting more holes in your fellow player than a piece of Swiss cheese, then the in-game matchmaking will slowly begin to put you into more peaceful lobbies filled with other chill people like you. However, if you drop into every game and act like the goddamn Terminator, attempting to gun down every motherfucker locker you see, then the in-game matchmaking will begin to put you into lobbies filled with more hostile aggro people. That isn't the only condition of matchmaking, by the way, but it definitely is a thing and something to be aware of as a new player, because the short version is you're gonna reap what you sow. Another thing to keep in mind is if you start killing people and notice your matchmaking getting more violent and you want to get back to more peaceful matchmaking, just try to run a couple matches in a row where you don't attack anybody to try and make the pendulum swing back the other way. If you do plan on being peaceful though, I got a tip for you. When you enter an area where you think or know there are other players, hop on the microphone and immediately say friendly to let those nearby players know that you're chill and don't mean any harm. Or if your mic is goddamn terrible, you could always open up your emote wheel and hit the don't shoot dialogue option, which is kind of the universal way of saying I'm chill if you're not a big chatter. And for the record, there is also fireteam size matchmaking as well, meaning if you go into Arc Raiders as a solo player, you will be matched with other solo players. If you go in as a duo, you'll be matched with other duos, and if you go in as a trio, you will be matched against other trios. And you should expect the size of your fireteam to kind of dictate the flow of the game you're about to load into, meaning solo player lobbies are usually chill, aka most players you find will likely be friendly with everyone there just to loot, and of course with the occasional troublemaker, but again, that all depends on how you've acted in your last few games. Duo player lobbies can also be chill, but will likely feature slightly more hostile teams looking to shoot first and not care about being friendly. And trio lobbies are almost 100% full on aggro PvP. Every now and then you may get a rare moment of two teams agreeing to not murder each other, but 99 times out of 100, if you go into Arc Raiders as a group of 3, you should probably expect to get shot at and be attacked by other players. Let's talk about fighting the Arc real quick, which as a new player, you definitely want to put some respect on the Arc. Even though a lot of them are small and easy to deal with once you figure them out, if you mess up, they can still hurt you really freaking bad. I'm gonna break this up into 3 different types of Arc: low-level threats, medium-level threats, and high-level threats. Starting with low-level threats. A tick is kind of an ambush attacker. It'll wait on a ceiling and then leap out and attach itself to you for damage. You can shoot them or just whack them with your crowbar tool to break them immediately. The Wasp is a small flying drone that will start shooting you with light ammo when it finds you. Shooting and breaking 2 of its rotors is usually the move to bring them down quickly. The Hornet is basically a more armored version of a Wasp. Its back rotors are exposed, but the front 2 rotors have a little extra armor, making them slightly tougher to break. Again, try to shoot and break 2 of its rotors to take it down quickly. The Snitch is a flying drone that can't attack on its own, but it will call in backup if it spots you. Shooting it down before it finishes calling for help is effective, or you can just run away from them. A Pop is a kamikaze bot. When it sees you, it'll head straight at you and explode for respectable damage. Shooting and killing it before it reaches you is the way to deal with them. The Fireball will roll up right to you when it sees you and unleash a pretty hard-hitting flamethrower attack. If you have a heavy ammo weapon, you can put them down easily with one shot before they get to you, or if you have any other ammo type, just wait for them to get close, then they'll roll back their armor plating before hitting you with fire, and that is when you shoot them for lethal damage. Just make sure to immediately roll away, because when they explode, fire will spread all over the floor. And then finally, the Surveyor, which doesn't attack at all, it just kind of surveys the area. You can flat out ignore them or shoot them until they break, but they will try and roll away from you when you start damaging them. In the medium threat category, we have the Turret and the Sentinel. Both will cling to walls and shoot you if they see you. Either avoid them or go between shooting them and taking cover until they explode. And finally, in the medium threat category, we have the Leaper. The Leaper has the ability to jump a crazy long distance to come after you if either you get too close or if you shoot it. I'm serious, by the way. Don't underestimate how far this weird looking thing can jump. He will dance on your corpse if you don't respect it. Now, while dangerous, Leapers are not a high level threat because out of every larger Arc enemy, they are the easiest to deal with. Just attack one from an indoor area protected by literally any doorway, and you'll basically be able to chip it down and kill it for free because Leapers can't squeeze through doorways. In the high level threat category, we have Shredders, aka murder trash cans. Thankfully, they can only currently be found on the Stella Montis map, and when they see you, they'll beeline right towards you and attack with a hard-hitting shrapnel blast, which basically damages anything in a 15-meter radius, give or take. Shoot them a whole bunch to destroy them, but also be prepared to just run away and avoid them. These things are stupid lethal up close. Next, we have the Rocketeer, a very large flying drone. If the Rocketeer finds you out in the open, you better start praying to insert deity here, because that thing will take you down fast if you don't find cover right away. They move quick when they find a target and fire powerful rockets that have a ton of splash damage. Moving on, we got the Bombardier and the Bastion, which look very similar, but they ain't. The Bastion will be by itself, and if it spots you, it'll gun you down with a crazy lethal high RPM machine gun. The Bombardier, on the other hand, has two spotters, aka teeny little narcs floating around in the air nearby. If they spot you, they'll paint you with a laser, allowing the Bombardier to launch repeated mortar attacks at you. If you get spotted, head indoors to cover immediately. Finally, in the high-level threat category, we have the Queen and the Matriarch, which are enormous arc enemies, each with a crazy amount of health. These are basically the closest things you'll find to a boss fight in Arc Raiders. The Queen and the Matriarch can only be found in maps as part of a unique event, which you can see by hovering over the map you're about to launch into. Remember, every high-level threat category arc can be killed, even the Queen and the Matriarch, as long as you're careful and roll in with the right tools. But when you're just starting out, I would strongly recommend avoiding high-level arc until you become way more comfortable playing, and then trying to engage with them one at a time to see how they fight. In just a minute, we're going to go over frequently asked new player questions, but before we do that, one teeny thing to go over, which is audio is everything. First of all, the Arc. They can hear when you make noise, not on the microphone, mind you, but in-game. Here's a clip of me walking in range of a random security camera. Watch what happens. Notice that when the camera starts making noise because it saw me, the nearby Arc hears it and comes over to investigate. So remember, making noise can attract Arc and other players. And just as important, sound cues. There are certain sounds that when you hear in Arc Raiders, you should immediately be able to recognize what they are and be on high alert. Kinda like if you were falling asleep and heard this sound coming from your roommate's bedroom. You'd know right away that you should bang on the wall or maybe put in some earplugs. But yeah, sound cues are important. Here are two sounds that every new Arc Raider player should be aware of. First, a Raider Flare. If you didn't know, when any other Raider in the lobby gets downed, they will auto-launch a giant red flare up into the sky. When you see one, you'll immediately know something's going on in that direction. Either a player is fighting with Arc or a player is fighting with another player. But if you're inside a building, you might not always see a Raider Flare shoot up. You'll have to listen for the flare. With that in mind, if you're running around indoors and you hear the following, that is the sound of a Raider being downed somewhere near you, so you should be on your guard. The other sound you should know is the sound of a shield regenerator being used by a Raider, and that sounds like this. That is important because if you're in a fight with another Raider and they run behind cover and you suddenly hear that noise, you now need to be extra careful because it means they've successfully re-shielded and will now be tougher to bring down. All right, the number one most common new player question I see come up is, what should I keep? What should I sell? What should I recycle? When I first started playing, I was completely overwhelmed with how much loot you can find in Arc Raiders and was also terrified that I was going to accidentally sell something that I might really need later. But the good news is it really doesn't matter that much because no matter what the item is, you can always get more. There's always some kind of farm that you can use to get whatever item you sold by accident. Let's say you found a motor and then you sold it, only to learn later you should have kept it because you needed it to upgrade one of your workbenches. It's fine. Literally just open YouTube and type Arc Raiders Motor Farm and I guarantee you a dozen results will come up. In short, don't be overly afraid about accidentally selling an important item because you can always get more, especially if the item has a little gemstone icon on it. Those items are specifically 100% for selling. So fear not, if you have anything like a rubber ducky or Lance's mixtape and you're wondering what they're for, just sell it and keep the money. And one more thing regarding your stash, prioritize upgrading it. By spending the in-game currency, you can expand the size of your stash, meaning you can throw more loot into it. Upgrading your stash is cheap at first. It gets more expensive each time you do it, but it is 100% worth it. There are so many important items in the game, and almost everything can be used as a crafting material to make something great. In short, you're very likely going to hoard a lot of stuff in Arc Raiders, which is normal, so maximize the size of your stash right away and keep doing it whenever possible. Moving on, another frequently asked new player question: what are the best weapons in Arc Raiders? And just like asking someone what the best kind of cake is, it's tres leches, by the way. Your answer is going to vary depending on who you ask. If you're asking me, then here is the short version. Your best weapons against the Arc when you're just starting out are the Pharaoh and the Anvil, which are both excellent at taking out low-level Arc. For high threat level Arc, the Hull Cracker is very good, even at fighting the Queen and the Matriarch, and then finally the Equalizer, which is a legendary tier weapon. That gun is excellent at stripping armor off high-level Arc. And even though it's not a weapon, I'll mention the Wolfpack Grenade, because it is godly at damaging all kinds of Arc. Throw it above your target and it'll deploy a bunch of Arc tracking missiles. Very valuable. Your best weapons against other raiders are, in my opinion, the Stitcher and the Kettle at low level, both which can be found in a free kit and you'll use a lot starting out. The Stitcher and the Kettle are respectable at level 1, but are insanely lethal if you spend the resources to upgrade them and add on weapon attachments. A kitted out level 4 Stitcher or Kettle can demolish other players, even if they have high level gear. The Il Toro shotgun, which doesn't need any upgrading at all, can blast enemy players a new butthole at point blank range. The Renegade is excellent at mid to long range against other players, especially if you're outdoors and the enemy doesn't have a lot of cover to take advantage of. The Bobcat is a high level SMG and basically a better version of the Stitcher right out of the box. Very good up close. The Torrent has an insanely good time to kill, but you're lugging around a big bulky machine gun. Still though, don't sleep on it, it is very, very lethal. The Volcano is a fast firing high tier shotgun that does very well at putting down other players up close. And finally, the Venator pistol, even despite already being nerfed once by Embark, continues to have a reputation for being a really effective PvP weapon. Upgrade your Venator to level 4 and kit it out with weapon attachments and it will shred through multiple other raiders with ease. And finally, where are the best loot locations and all map events explained? As new players may tell you, if you load into a match and open your map, the game will show you yellow areas which are a bit more likely to have good loot and red areas which are likely to have good loot. But veteran players will tell you that not all zones are created equal. For example, the research and admin building on Damn Battlegrounds almost always contains a bunch of high-value trinket items, specifically usually found in the green lockers upstairs, and is considered by many to be the most valuable looting spot on the map. Or, despite the fact that it's only a yellow zone, the Plaza Rosa area is one of the better looting areas on the Buried City map and can often contain blueprints or high-level items like the Snap Hook or Anvil Splitter. What I'm trying to tell you is that over time, you will learn that every map kind of has their own hotspot looting areas, and that looting those areas will be more likely to have certain items. As a new player, it might be wise to look up the best looting areas for each map, which has been very fleshed out by the community since the game launched. On top of that, certain map conditions can often affect what loot you will find. The go-to example is that night raids will usually have higher value loot, but are more dangerous because there's more Arc lurking around. But other events, like the Electromagnetic Storm, make it more likely that you'll find the Snap Hook blueprint on Damn Battlegrounds. It's very weird, but just keep in mind that in-game map conditions can make it more likely for more valuable or specific loot to appear. As a good rule of thumb, once you start getting more comfortable playing and want the odds at the best loot possible, I'd target what I consider to be the big 3 map events: Cold Snap, Electromagnetic Storm, and Night Raids. And for the record, here's what that means. The Cold Snap event is a snowy winter-themed map condition where if you spend too much time out in the cold, you'll eventually start losing your health. Get indoors when you can to warm up and reset your internal heat meter. The Electromagnetic Storm event is basically raiding in a thunderstorm. There are no raider hatches available, which for the record, a raider hatch is a way to quickly extract out of a match with no hassle, provided you have a raider hatch key. But yeah, no raider hatches on the Storm event, and also the map will feature repeated lightning strikes that you should very much try to avoid getting hit by. The Night Raid event is just what it sounds like, an expedition that happens at night. But also, there are no raider hatches available, limited extraction points, more Arc, and more opportunities to find high-value loot. In short, most people looking to really loot farm do so on a night raid, but again, be careful of the extra arc. There are other interesting events as well, including the Locked Gate and the Hidden Bunker event, which involve solving an in-game puzzle, but I don't want to spoil too much of those events for you because half the fun is going out and getting your hands dirty and figuring things out for yourself. If you're a veteran player, do me a favor and leave some extra advice for the newcomers down in the comment section. And of course, swing by the Twitch channel if you're free and chat with me there. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.